Net access.
Lead with your offer. It's big.
Your
driver can take the frustration of a previous race and turn it into motivation for the next one. I think Roberto is ready to win.
And you know, it has been an interesting season thus far. We have not yet had a repeat winner. And normally at this time of the year, we're not talking about the points early on, but we are now, because when you look at the way the points are allocated here today, well, when this race is over, any one of 10 different men could be leading in that points fight. Now, Parker Johnstone, this track is a natural terrain road course and very interesting.
And for the first time this year, the drivers aren't surrounded by concrete at every turn. Watch the starts and the restarts. They come down the pit straight, it's almost 60 feet wide. They go down into the festival curves, it chokes down to just over 30 feet wide. Paul, as you said, we're talking points, and for the first time, we're coming into the 8th race, and guys are already talking about the championship. If possible, the intensity level has been cranked up another notch.
And the cars have just fired their engines on the grid. We had a great qualifying session yesterday. The engines now begin to roar here. We'll look at that starting field with Helio Castroneves on the pole and his teammate Gil DeFerrin starting alongside. DeFerrin is the defending champ at Portland. He hopes to give Penske win 102. In the second row, the likable Roberto Moreno and Dario Franchitti, the Scotsman, on the outside. In row 3, the rookie Kenny Brett and Christian Fittipaldi outside. Now, Fittipaldi was upset with DeFerrin in Detroit. Today, with the permanent road course, he's happy. In row 4, the rookie Oriol Servia and the defending champion Juan Montoya. Servia gave Cal Wells his first podium in Detroit. Tries to make it 2 in a row today. His teammate Cristiano D'Amata starts inside row 5. And Adrian Fernandez will be on the outside. Michael Andretti is inside 6, alongside Patrick Carpentier. In the 7th row, Max Pappas and Jimmy Vasser. Now, Pappas was second in Detroit and leaped into a tie for 4th in the championship points. In the 8th row, Alex Tagliani and Mark Blundell. Blundell in 1997 grabbed his first career win here in the closest finish in kart history. In row 9, Paul Tracy and Tarso Marquez. Back in the 10th row, Michel Jourdain Jr. and Brian Herta substituting for the injured Tony Kanaan. The 11th row is Shinji Nakano and Luis Garcia Jr. 12th row, Norberto Fontana and Takua Kurosawa. And Mauricio Guzman will start all the way in the back. Now, Kurosawa will also move to the back of the field because he changed to his backup car at the last minute. We'll be back with the green flag just minutes away. The 7 men who have driven into Victory Circle this year. Will we see an 8th different face when this race is over? It is very, very possible. We'll be back and we will go racing.
Combat Rangers. They're rough, they're tough, they're battle-tested. They're lean, mean fighting machines. When there's a battle to be won, Combat Rangers get the job done. Making backyards safe for democracy.
Now, tell me why they're wearing dresses.
The commander uniforms didn't arrive from China.
That's because you picked the wrong shipping company.
Next time, use the only U.S. Express shipper with direct routes from China. FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Matching night vision tiara sold separately.
Surface contact bearing 190. Dive! Big throat to flight.
What's that?
No leash. There's no way for the office to keep tabs on you.
Hello? Really? It's official? No, thank you.
What is that?
Nextel Worldwide works everywhere we do.
Well, that just means you're gonna have to work everywhere, Bob.
Actually, it means you do. I just got promoted. You work for me.
Hey. Introducing Nextel Worldwide. One phone, one number, worldwide. Nextel, how business gets done.
We didn't build the full-size Tundra to take on other trucks. We built it to take on anything. Toyota Tundra, Motor Trend Truck of the Year.
Coverage of the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200 is being brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series. And by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of CART. Hey, race fans, this Bud's for you. Well, as the field continues to roll and prepare for the start of this race, we want to give you the race analysis so you know exactly what you're looking ahead to on the run here at Portland. 1.9 miles, around 112 laps, which is a new distance.
They've extended the race this year by 14 laps. They're trying to get rid of the two-stop strategy, ensuring that everyone goes 3 stops. But watch for guys like Fernandez. If they can go 37 laps, they can make it a 2-stop race under green.
We've got some onboard cameras for you. Mauricio Guzman, he starts way in the back. Norberto Fontana. A little further forward, Mark Blundell.
And this man, Juan Montoya, when we check in with him, watch his hands, because pretty much it's certain he'll be opposite lock most of this race.
All right, let's send you down to Gary Gerald.
Well, a man to keep an eye on certainly be Juan Montoya. For the first time this year, he's not starting in the front row. He's back in the 4th row, starting 8th. An important point to keep in mind. While he and his teammate Jimmy Vasser were at Indianapolis getting ready for the Indy 500, they missed a 2-day test at Portland. Juan came in here, and yesterday they struggled. Bill Pappas told me they changed the setup on the car this morning, kind of gambled, and it didn't work. So they've gone back to where they were in their setup on Friday, hoping that they've got the combination that their man can move forward from the 8th starting position. But it's going to be a very big task. Tough to get by people on this racetrack, as you well know. We might see Montoya trying to make a bonsai charge on the start, headed toward turn 1 in the festival curves. Jan?
Well, Gary, you talk about big tests. I think one of the things that people are concerned about today is the heat. It's 88 degrees as an ambient temperature and 130 degrees as a track temperature. That means that these drivers are going to have to watch out for their tires. They're going to have to not push it too hard, maintain their tires, especially if you're one of the Patrick team and you decide maybe you want to do it in 2 stops. Adrian Fernandez, Parker, as you mentioned, might be one of those guys that is going to try it. Again, the hot temperatures might also cause a problem for the racetrack with some breakup.
And you want to see how dominant Juan Montoya has been this year? When you consider that Jimmy Vasser is no slouch whatsoever and a former champion, look at the comparison, Montoya and Vasser through the 7th races. Now we're going to show you the starting grid one more time so you can pick out your favorite driver as they are moving now to the pace lap, ready to warm up.
And as we look through this grid, look at Oriol Servia, Toyota's best effort today, his best qualifying so far this year. Great for that rookie driver. The other driver we want to keep an eye on is down there in 17th place, Paul Tracy.
Gary Gerald mentioned the festival curves. They're the first couple of turns on this track. They're absolutely critical on starts and restarts to get a good position. We asked the drivers, how are you going to approach the festival curves on the start?
Well, you never know what happens. You need to take it as it comes. Sometimes you must be aggressive in order to conserve your line or even to avoid an accident. Sometimes you need to be protected.
Just got to be careful, go through the first turn, and if something happened up the front, I'm just going to run right through the chicane to try to avoid it. There shouldn't be penalty on the first lap if you run through, so hopefully nothing happens and we get to a clean race.
Very dependent on what comes up in front of me and what opens up. If a big gap opens up or even a mediocre gap, then I'll be going through it. But if there's a high level of risk attached with it at that point, then I might sit pretty because, these races are long. You can't win when you're sitting in the gravel.
The pole sitter is Helio Castroneves. That's the carousel leading on to the pit straight. They go into formation, ready for a green flag now. Acceleration should begin shortly as Castroneves brings the field off the final turn. They roll toward the green flag. Well aligned, we are racing. Castroneves goes first for the corner. DeFerrin falls well back, but then comes back into 2nd place.
Kenny bring
big traffic jam there.
We saw Kenny get bumped as he tried to go down the inside. Car's trying to go around the outside.
Well, we told you how important it was. It's a parking lot in the festival curves right now. Tracy's going to try to give it a spin and get going. So is Branchini. They're going for a full course yellow already.
And Dario stalled it.
Get going.
He stalled it, Paul.
Oh.
He tried to whip it around to the left. It didn't work. He brought it back to the right and killed the engine.
A season of incredibly bad luck for Franchitti. But there is Vassar. There is Pappas. There is Fernandez. It looked like Kenny Breck went off the course to the right. And we'll see in a moment whether or not he got restarted. But Parker, here's this melee that started this race kind of like you predicted could and would happen.
As I said at the opening show, we saw contact. It looked between Montoya and Franchitti that actually started this whole thing off. I'm going to have to look at it one more time, but it looked like Montoya tried to go down the outside into the first corner and clip. Now watch what happens here. Watch Montoya as he turns in, and watch the back of Franchitti here, the green car on your screen. Breck's going down the inside. We see some bumping between Servia and Christian Fittipaldi. Now it's actually Kenny Breck that gets into the back of Dario Franchitti as he came down the inside of turn 1.
And from Montoya's point of view.
Montoya, now remember, it's just under 60 feet coming down this pit straight. It chokes down to just over 30 feet. Kenny Breck is a rookie here at Portland. He goes way down the inside on the right. He comes across, sandwiching Christian Fittipaldi. He'll make contact with the green car just on the outside of your screen there. That's Dario Franchitti. He gets his left front against his right rear. Montoya taking evasive maneuvering, bouncing the car hard over the curb. We'll look at it one more time here. So now watch. Kenny Breck here. Watch what he does. Way down the inside. Watch Franchitti here as he crosses over. Kenny trying to slot in. Dario goes down for the apex. They make contact right there. That starts the entire problem. Everybody else just scrambling for their lives. Servia, the only one around the outside of Franchitti. Whoa! We saw just as we missed or cleared to the right there, Jimmy Vassar got way up in the air as he went wheel to wheel. Doing a little Joey Chitwood imitation there.
And of the 7 different winners this season, I count 3 of them involved in that situation. Let's go to Gary.
I think we're going to switch it over perhaps to Jan.
Jan Vigas?
Well, there's no doubt why Jimmy's in, Paul. Just as he was going out of frame, Vassar was way up in the air. And they're looking for suspension damage there because he had to be a good 4 or 5 feet up in the air with the right side of the car.
Chip Ganassi oversees the work on Jimmy Vassar's car. It sits in a very hot pit position. Max Pappas climbs out. The cross-checkered flags or cross-yellow flags still fly, which indicates a full course caution. We'll be back.
Every day, AmeriDebt helps more people with money problems.
My credit card debt was outrageous. Then I called AmeriDebt. They contacted my creditors and got my payments almost cut in half.
AmeriDebt is a nonprofit organization that offers free consultations to consumers seeking to eliminate their debt.
Every month I pay our credit card bills, but the balances never seem to get smaller.
AmeriDebt got our interest rates reduced, and now the balances are dropping dramatically.
Join the thousands of people who have turned their financial lives around. Call 1-800-206-4488.
Win an 8-day, 7-night trip for 2, including airfare to the beautiful island of Maui, and stay in an ocean view room at the luxurious beachfront Royal Lahaina Resort. Or you could win one of these other great prizes. In appreciation for being a Jones Intercable customer, you have been automatically entered to win one of 2 trips to Hawaii. Plus, you will receive 1 additional entry for each premium movie channel you subscribe to. Mahalo.
Lately, it's been questioned whether 3-play from ESPN.com is a form of gambling and therefore detrimental to America's youths. With me today is Atlantic City pit boss, Freddie B. Is 3-play a form of gambling? Kids, pay attention.
No.
There you have it. 3-play from ESPN.com. It's free. It's sports. Give me the briefcase. It's money.
It's a significant amount of money.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball. Rogers Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig slop. And that was when my parents drove all the way from Michigan to see me play the game. Did I cry? No. And you know why? No. Because there's no crying in baseball.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
Welcome to Portland International Raceway and the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200. We are still under that full course caution as a result of the incident. on the very first turn as Helio Castroneves screamed for the turn in the lead. Behind him, suddenly, Franchitti, Breck, Montoya, they all get together.
And the problem you've got here, Paul, is you come down into that first corner. If you get too far to the inside, the drivers can't see you going down there. You're out of their line of sight.
Remember what Mark Blundell said about taking an opportunity if there is one? Well, that one gained him 3 different positions.
On board with Juan Montoya. Now watch Kenny Breck, upper right side of the screen in the shell car. Now look, Montoya backed off early, trying to give himself a little bit of room. Everything's great. He's trying to go on the outside. He sees Franchitti, says, forget this, I'm out of here. And he goes over the curbs.
All right, down to Jan Vegas.
Both the Team Cool green cars have been on pit road, Paul Tracy and Dario Franchitti. It appears as though neither of them have damage. They decided, since they're at the back of the order, why not come in and get some fuel now? That would change your strategy to a 2-stop race. Gary?
Max Pappas making the walk back to the pits, hearing applause from the crowd, but I know you're very unhappy. What happened, Max?
I don't know exactly what happened, you know. I think it was a mess in front and someone bumper from the back, and you know, I went in the turn, I hit Adrian Fernandez, and after someone bumping from the back and broke front suspension, so we are out.
Were you trying to be conservative going to that first turn?
I did my best, you know, but like when people stop in front of you, you can do nothing.
Thank you.
You know, in the 17 years this race is running, this is only the second time there has been an accident in the first turn of the first lap. We have 3 laps complete, all of them except the first 100 yards under a full course caution. And I think you pointed out separately that there is some link damage to Vassar's car while they were working on it. You don't know, the cars that didn't come in, how much there may be. Here we go again. Christian Fittipaldi locks the brakes big time as he comes around Roberto Moreno. Now Montoya tries to work inside of Moreno. Cristiano Damata's right there too.
And that was just a suicide move going down the inside. Roberto looks over, sees everything locked up on Christian's car. He can't possibly turn. It's going to be interesting to see how badly that affected Christian's tires.
Dario Franchitti will be given a black flag for shortcutting the course to add to his woes here today. Christian Fittipaldi, the winner last year at Road America at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. 3rd place behind Castroneves, then DeFerrin. And he locks those brakes hard again. Have to keep an eye on him because there may be something more than just aggressive driving involved there.
Great job. Let's go to spot 1 when you get a chance. Spot 1.
Tim Cedric telling Helio Castroneves already to start backing the mixture off. There's Moreno. Takes it right back. Nice bit of driving there.
Tagliani, blue and white car a little further back. Comes out to the outside, makes his move.
And Paul, I haven't seen Vassar back on the track. I have to assume it looked like he had bent the upper wishbone when he came back in the pits. I have to assume that he's out from that initial contact that he had.
Poor Dario Franchitti in horrible shape. Back in 20th place now, and still the penalty to be imposed. Gary?
Yeah, and you may have had a look at it, Paul. We couldn't see it down here, but Kim Green asked him on the radio, did you go through the chicane, the runoff area? And he said the chicane, he said it was blocked. So he said, I think he's under the belief that he did the only thing that he could do. But that, of course, is in the heat of battle.
Well, now the rule there is that you cannot improve your position on the race course by shortcutting the racetrack. And there was, in fact, some discussion among the drivers. Hey, you know, how do you tell whether or not I improved? I'm coming out of the pits or I'm on the start. Especially on the start might be very confusing. And they put a couple of officials down in the first turn to address just that issue. So I'm assuming somebody saw it. But the point being made that, yeah, that's, if you're avoiding trouble, I wouldn't think that counted against you. Carpentier, he went through that shortcut area as well.
Yeah, but here's Dario's perspective, Paul. The thing's blocked. He spins it around. It gets stalled. It gets restarted. They've got safety equipment in there. He's not going to drive back through. He's already penalized himself. So he probably just went straight through, not thinking that he had to do a stop and go before he took off.
Max Pappas already out. Now Jimmy Jimmy Vasser has climbed out of the car, Jan.
Yes, he has, Paul. They tried to fix the car, but Jimmy, the crew was not able to fix the front of the car.
Just extensive damage, and you know, it was a valiant effort, but it's just really damaged. Honestly, I don't know what happened down there. I was kind of just rolling my way through there, not trying to do anything too aggressive. I have to see the replay before I made any comments. I mean, maybe you saw it. Did you see a replay?
Yeah, I've seen a few replays. As far as you were concerned, were you just taking it easy, just trying to get through the first couple turns?
Well, I always do that, and I try to take what's there, but it was just a big congestion, and you know, I thought I was just minding my P's and Q's a bit, you know, I'm not trying to give up any spots, but not, you know, really not have a place to go, and I'm not sure what happened. There was somebody got sideways and spun and hit somebody else, and I think it forced them into my car. Maybe something with Max and Tracy. I'm not really sure. I have to see the replay.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Well, while Jimmy and Jan were talking, did you see that move by Cristiano D'Amata? There's a comparison to Toyota-powered cars, and D'Amata just rammed the nose down inside of Montoya going into one.
That was a great move by Cristiano. He's run so strong the last couple of races, and now he's setting up Christian Fittipaldi. He's not going to quite get it done, but he's having a good look there. He was running very strongly in fifth position in Detroit before he had an engine problem. He's had some gearbox problems this weekend, but he and his engineer, Ian Watt, have been working extremely hard, and I think this young man is more than overdue. He could be one of the new faces in victory lane before this day is out.
Well, and another one could be Alex Tagliani, who is sitting back behind Montoya right now, because at the same time that Montoya took a look at D'Amata, Tagliani darted the car out for a second as well, so perhaps we'll see some more action at the end of the main straight at the end of this lap.
Watch Cristiano D'Amata here. He's got to get up right behind Christian Fittipaldi as they come off the final corner, turn 12. He's got to maximize his exit speed, try to pick up a draft. As they come onto the straightaway, he's done a very nice job. He's got some momentum here.
View down from the Honda Helicam.
He pulls to the inside. Yeah, he's got it. Nice job, Cristiano.
Look how tightly bunched they are coming off of that corner.
And you can see how much narrower the track is on the old section of the course and compared to the pit straightaway here. The track's gotten bumpier over the last few years. We said that the track temperature at the start of the race was about 130 degrees. Cockpit temperatures today, 135 plus. They'll shift over 2,100 times. Physically very demanding. Lots of long extended G loading on the driver's bodies. And it's very, very bumpy, as I said, not only in the braking and cornering areas, but down these straightaways. You can see the cars here as they get jostled up and down. And now look, Tagliani attacking.
Montoya got past. Here comes Tagliani working on. In fact, they're lined up behind him. Michael, they're Oriol Servia, Kenny Breck. They're all right there. For Elio Castroneves, the race leader, no traffic ahead. He's pulling away from his teammate, Joe DeFerrin, right now.
And I'd have to think, as hard as Christian Fittipaldi locked those brakes up on the restart, that he's driving a Flintstone mobile right now.
Side by side with Tagliani, but Tagliani can't get Christian. Here comes Michael up behind Tagliani. Christian washes the back end, catches it. Off they go, heading for three.
Tag's got a little bit of breathing room here, but he's also under attack, as you said, by Michael Andretti. He's got to stay focused. You just want to remain very clean through this section of the course. Try to set him up coming off the back corner. Watch here through the following right-hander. He's got to get up right behind him, just like Cristiano D'Amata set up his pass. Very nice job here.
The player Forsyth team, Tagliani's team, also Patrick Carpentier, pretty well set up for the ovals, but still struggling with the aero package on the road course.
He's got to be very clean through 10, 11, out of 12, and onto the straightaway. He's got it set up just right here, Paul. He's duplicating what Cristiano D'Amata did a couple laps ago.
Christian Fittipaldi, the leader of this pack, is currently in sixth.
Watch him pop out. No, he doesn't have enough momentum to get it done.
And Takuma Kurosawa pulls off again into that runoff area that used to be part of the track until they put in the festival curve. Something amiss in the calling the back end of the car and dumping water on it. And Kurosawa started in last place. Moved back there because of the problems that he had throughout the weekend with the car. The Columbia River Gorge and some of the beautiful natural scenery here in Oregon.
Your own island hideaway. Your own coral reef. Your own private ski cove. Order any new 2000 Yamaha Wave Runner by June 30th, and you'll pay just $19.99 down, $19.99 a month, and 1.99% interest through January 1st, 2001. A small price to pay for a great summer. Yamaha. Solid thinking for a liquid world.
Wouldn't it be great to have instant access to information on the internet, wherever you are? Soon, you'll be able to.
Hi folks, Bob Gleason here with Jimmy Vassar and Juan Montoya of the Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team. Jimmy? Juan? Jimmy! Juan! Just a few words if you can stop for a second. Obviously, we've got to try a different approach. Say hi to Jimmy's high school flame from California. Hey, Jimmy! Remember Cindy? Senior year? Let's try Juan. Hey, look, Juan! It's your favorite dish. Don't miss the unstoppable Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team.
The surprisingly affordable Leganza from Daewoo. At less than $19,000, no other car has taken luxury this far.
For the fourth year, it's the Sears Craftsman National at St. Louis Gateway International Raceway. Neat format there. They run from Thursday through Sunday. Made for some cool side-by-side contest in Top Fuel and Funny Car. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Or to Go Network, go.com. Well, nothing has changed back at Portland International Raceway in the order. The battle, though, has been hot. Down from about 3rd through 10th place. You saw most of it. It's gone a little static right now. Elio Castroneves is the leader. 2.5 seconds back. You'll probably see it here. There is Joe DeFerrin, his teammate. But Roberto Moreno is closing on DeFerrin. Jan?
Yes, Christian Fittipaldi. Parker, you had mentioned about it being a Flintstone mobile. That's exactly what he's been saying on the radio. He's having some big-time trouble with those front tires. If they get an early yellow, he'll be here on pit road to get new tires.
Michael Andretti moves inside of Tagliani. That was a smooth, clean pass.
And Michael did it exactly right. You don't want to swing way down the inside because then you lose the peripheral vision of the driver you're overtaking. There's a good chance they'll turn across right in front of you or into you. Michael just came right down tag side, making sure that he knew he was there, and just tucked nice and neat into the corner. Very nice job.
The points leader coming into this race, Paul Tracy, was one of those involved in that problem on the first lap. He came into the pits, and that caused him to fall further and further behind. He is now running 20th, a lap behind the lead. Gary Gerald?
Yes, indeed. He came in because he cut down a right front tire. They had to change it. There was some slight damage to the race car, but Barry Green said, we really haven't lost that much. And he's telling Tracy on the radio, we are not out of it. We've still got 2 stops to go. So they're trying to stay as optimistic as they can for a man who leads the point standings but hasn't scored a point in the last 3 races.
A couple of guys that are on the move. You may have noticed Tarso Marquez. Michael tries his teammate, but Fittipaldi's not going to let him in there. Tarso Marquez took advantage of that situation in turn 1, moved from 18th to 11th. Shinji Nakano started 21st. He's now up to 13th. And Noberto Fontana started 23rd, and he is now 14th.
And we talked about Paul Tracy and his cut tire. My concern is right in this section of the course as they come back through turn number 7 through 8. There was a large piece of debris that I saw kicked up in the air the previous lap, right in this section of the track. Looked like it was either a wing end plate, some sort of piece of carbon fiber. That stuff is razor sharp and will go right through a tire.
Give you a few of the team members on the different teams. Frank Beattie and Tracy, for example, on Team Green. Michael still keeping an eye on Christian Fittipaldi. In fact, there's like a double opportunity here. Will Michael be able to move out? And what will happen just behind him with Servia and Tagliani?
Now see, Michael positions his car so he's right in the mirror of Christian Fittipaldi. When the driver looks to the right, all he's seeing is the right rear tire, a bit of the wing end plate, and a very small portal where you can see behind you. And that's right where Michael is placing his car so that Christian Fittipaldi knows that Michael wants by. Michael's not actually trying to make the pass. He's just trying to apply some pressure.
A little bit earlier, this is exactly what you were talking about, Parker.
See the piece right there, and then Paul Tracy hits it again as they come onto the back straightaway.
As you watch Paul Tracy there, despite the fact that he's behind Tagliani in the middle of the fight, he is a lap down, trying desperately to make that lap back up. Interval from first to second. Moreno has closed a bit more on second place to Farron. So has D'Amata. That's Montoya behind D'Amata. Christian Fittipaldi suddenly makes a turn for the pit road. Up. Bad information. We thought Christian was going to head for the pit road.
Even if his tires are quite bad, he's probably going to do everything he can to avoid coming in under the green. They won't be coming in for another, I'd say, 17 to 20 laps, depending on their fuel strategy. He's probably being encouraged at this point to hang on and just do the best he can. And the fact that Michael's still behind him is a pretty good indication that the problem isn't that bad.
De Ferran, the 20 car of Roberto Moreno, driving for Pat Patrick. Again, that's for the entire history of cars. Penske and Patrick. Two owners have raced one another and raced hard.
Two things the drivers are trying to do now is get the best fuel economy they can and also take care of their rear tires. And look at Montoya smoke them all up. Locked them up
all four. That can't help the tires. And now Christian comes in. Ford was last lap. He's in this lap, Jan.
Yes, and this is what we were talking about, making that early stop to get the fresh tires. Because of that front tire, they got roasted. Once the tires are done, they'll drop it off the jacks.
Watch your speed.
Obviously, he did not need a whole lot of fuel because he hasn't been out there that long.
And a reminder, when you hear the engine running like that, that's because of the limiter that they have to keep them on the pit speed limit. It's just a button on the steering wheel. They push it, and it keeps the car from accelerating beyond the speed limit.
They're about halfway through their fuel run now. And this is the point, as we started to say, that the tire wear will start to get critical. We'll probably see more brake lockup, more drivers getting sideways, coming off the corners. Start watching for the cars to start moving around, especially coming in here into the festival curves. Whole series of bumps, like speed bumps, in the braking area just before they turn in.
There is nothing like a first win to give a driver confidence and some verve to go ahead and go harder and harder. I think we're seeing it here today with Helio Castroneves. He is steadily pulling away from Gil de Ferran, his teammate, in what one presumes are nearly identical cars. So de Ferran has fallen to nearly 5 seconds back in second place. There are your top 5 from Portland International Raceway.
He benches 210 pounds. He squats 285. He does a mile in 16 seconds. Juan Montoya, kart racing's defending champion.
Indy winners demand one thing. Great performance. But then, so do you. That's why Firestone introduces the Firehawk SS20 with Unity for road-hugging stability, nimble handling, and great traction, especially in the wet. All of which reflects very well on its owner. The Firehawk SS20 with Unity Ultimate Tire Technology from Firestone. Firehawk, born at Indy, performs everywhere.
Combat Rangers. They're rough, they're tough, they're battle-tested. a battle to be won. Combat Rangers get the job done, making backyards safe for democracy.
Now, tell me why they're wearing dresses.
The commander uniforms didn't arrive from China.
That's because you picked the wrong shipping company.
Next time, use the only U.S. Express shipper with direct routes from China. FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Matching night vision tiara sold separately.
Gentlemen, a moment of silence in honor of Bob. Bob, a good friend, a good man, whose time had come. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
First, get a designated driver. Next, grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time.
Excuse me, our car broke down. Can anyone give us a ride home?
Back later, guys.
Oh, thanks.
Bye, Bob.
200 riders, 23 teams, and 21 stages that make up nearly 3,850 kilometers of competition. The Tour de France. Remember last year at Lance Armstrong? He's defending. You'll see it right here. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com. Oh, big pitch. As we look back from Mauricio Gugelmin, who has, after starting in the back row, made some headway. But Dario Franchitti working too. Remember, Franchitti pushed back in the field. At the front, it remains Helio Castroneves. Gil de Ferran is second. No changes in the order. Moreno, D'Amata, Montoya, Andretti, Tagliani, Servia, Kenny Breck, and Tarso Marquez. Gary Gerald?
Well, we're checking on Castroneves. The team tells us that he hasn't said a word on the radio. Tim Cindric has been doing a lot of talking to Helio, meanwhile telling him he's doing a good job in terms of his fuel conservation. This morning, they kept experimenting, and there was a little concern, I think, about what type of engine mapping would give them the most effective fuel mileage. Cindric said they think that they had that addressed as they got ready to start this race. He seems to be doing a terrific job stretching the lead. They may be able to go one lap further than some of their other top competitors here because the mileage he's getting is that good. And, of course, you play a little bit longer, maybe a yellow falls into your hands. You can benefit in numerous ways.
Christian Fittipaldi, after his stop for service, came out in 19th place, but still on the leader lap.
Looks like there's a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of Fontana's car there, Paul.
In fact, they're going to give him the black flag.
Gearbox pressure, oil pressure problem. We'll take a look.
Yeah, and he's pouring oil onto his own rear tires. You could see how sideways he was there.
Alberto was talking with his car owner, John Della Pena. And he should bring it in.
What do you want to do? Do you want to pull the cover off or not? Yeah, we'll take a look. Just go ahead and bring him in. Okay, just put it right on the mark, so we're going to do the pit stop and take a look at the gearbox.
Best guess is that's more than a small problem. So they're going to take a look at Fontana's gearbox, see whether or not it can be fixed. We'll take you back to Gil de Ferran, and Moreno is still there.
And you have to wonder right now, is Roger Penske running Castroneves and de Ferran on two different fuel strategies? Remember last year, that's what got Derek Walker and this driver de Ferran the win. They put the pedal to the metal, went to full rich, did a splash and go at the end while everybody was running a little more conservatively. If Gil's able to hold this pace in the center vault to keep Moreno and D'Amata and the rest of the group behind him, maybe you do exactly that. You just lean it. You can see de Ferran looking in his mirror, checking the interval to Moreno. You just keep leaning it, and seeing if you can hold down that second spot while your teammate goes out and extends his lead. If you catch the yellow at the right time, you've got all of your bases covered. You've got one guy on the quick strategy, the other guy a little bit slower.
Roger Penske was telling de Ferran he was +1, meaning I had 1 second from Moreno. Actually a little less than that. Jan?
Yes, and speaking of Roberto Moreno, I have a feeling that they are definitely on the two-stop strategy. If you want to do that, you'd want to come in here on lap 36 or 37, and then if you have to keep somewhere about 2.1 to 2.2 miles per gallon, and if he is on a two-stop strategy, he's pretty racy right now.
Now, he's the only hope, really, for the Patrick Racing team because the teammate there, Adrian Fernandez, again, one of those that got involved there at the start. And while he's still on the track, he's in 20th position and a lap behind the race. Patrick Carpentier. And there is Brian Herta in the car, normally occupied by Tony Kanaan. Tony, remember, broke his arm. The reports are that his recovery is going to go fairly quick. He's going to get some special therapy in the next week. Travel to Indianapolis, where they do that very well.
And I spoke with Cristiano D'Amato, who had visited Tony Kanaan before he went up to Indianapolis for his physical therapy. He said that a good sign is that Tony was angry. He was mad. He wanted to get back in the car. He was healing much more quickly than expected, and we wish him certainly a speedy recovery.
Herta is 15. That's Franchitti behind him at 16. Now back up to the front. Fuel strategy at Team Penske. Gary?
Yeah, we were following up on Parker's question here. They tell us, the Penske team, that there are not different strategies for Castroneves and de Ferran. What may lead to that speculation, Parker, is the fact that de Ferran's a little bit loose. He doesn't seem to be handling near as well as his teammate out in front.
But would you tell Gary Gerould the truth, Paul? That's what I want to know.
At any time.
Okay,
I
just
would.
checking.
Oh, no. I would not. You know, and as a matter of fact, I think 99% of the time they do just exactly that. Brazilians are pretty happy. They've got top 4 of them are Brazilians. Honda, Ford, Toyota. That's the engine lineup. One of my favorite corners in all of the kart series visually is this one over on the backside at Portland International.
Put your taste buds into a time machine and travel back to where good quality food was right around the corner at Katzenjammer's. Well, matter of fact, it's still there at Katzenjammer's. Breakfast, lunch, complete fountain, and plenty of atmosphere. Katzenjammer. No drive-through, no plastic fun-packed toy meals or freeze-dried, pre-made synthetic anything. Katzenjammer's. Remember when quality mattered? Well, it still does at Katzenjammer's. Swell food you remember from the 50s. Beach Avenue, a block west of Sierra Highway in Lancaster.
Come to Kragen for Exide 72-month batteries starting at only $34.99. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Kragen, the place to start for parts.
Was it the game of the year? A pitching duel for the ages. Martinez, Clemens, an instant classic. If you missed it the first time, don't miss it again on ESPN Classic. 2 Cy Young Warriors battle for first place, and baseball's greatest rivalry just got better. Red Sox-Yankees, the Martinez-Clemens duel, presented by Miller Lite. Tomorrow at 8, only on ESPN Classic. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
Back at the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200, Portland International Raceway. No changes. Helio Castroneves has established himself about 5 seconds and is staying there ahead of his teammate in second place, Gil de Ferran. Followed by Moreno.
No overtake, just go as hard as you can here. We're just going to open up our lead.
Moreno third, then D'Amato, and then Montoya. Let's go on board.
Coming down the pit straight, 6th gear, 185 miles an hour. Hard on the brakes, 3 Gs here, down to second. Slowest portion of the circuit, 41 miles an hour. Coming off the concrete, back onto the asphalt. Short shift 3rd, 4th, then 5th gear down to turn 3. 150 miles an hour, braking down to 110. Long sweeping right-hander, maximum of 3 Gs. You can see the bumps through the apex there. Lots of patching on the inside of these 2 corners. Coming through turn 6. Accelerating from 70 back to 130 miles an hour. Stab of the brakes. Roll the steering back into the right at 80 miles an hour. Now back up through the gears down the long back straightaway. It's blind to the drivers here down the inside concrete wall. 187 miles an hour. They just brushed the brakes down to 5th. This is Mr. Toad's wild ride through here. Down to 3rd gear. Back to turn 12. You can see the patching there on the inside. Accelerate hard back onto the pit straight. And that's a lap at Portland International Raceway.
Montoya flashes across the line. 31 laps are now complete. Castroneves to Ferrin Moreno, the top three, no change. Patrick Carpentier is having a pretty good day considering where he started. Started back at 20th at lap 10. Now here on lap 31, he's managed to find his way up to 14th. So the young, very likable French-Canadian doing what he can to get forward in this field. Now look up track. There's Christian Fittipaldi with Dario Franchitti right behind him. It's an ongoing battle. It's for 15th place because of the misfortunes both have suffered. Franchitti on the start and then with the penalty, and Fittipaldi having to hit the pits early. But Fittipaldi has been turning the fastest laps with the exception of a single lap turn by Montoya. Mark Blundell into the pits. And this is all shut down. Look at Mark. No, I'm not going back out there. I think it's done. That was sudden. I wonder what happened there. Well, he's staying in the car for having said no, and they pulled the rear culling, so we'll see where that takes him. Christian Fittipaldi now working on Brian Herta. Jan Beekes, you got down there by Mark Blundell's car. Any idea?
Yeah, the team said that he is saying on the radio a loss of power. So they are going to see if they can find anything in the engine compartment or change some of the electrical boxes and see if they can get that Mercedes power plant back up to speed.
Fittipaldi takes a good look inside of Herta, but it's not close enough to take advantage. Mauricio Guzman, Blundell's teammate, is now in the pits. This at lap 33 appears to be routine stop, Jan.
Yes, but I also noticed at the front of the car there, Paul, that they took big-time turns out of the front wing. It looked like 4 or 5 half turns, so I'd imagine that car must have been big-time loose.
Well, and we had mentioned that the first stops could possibly come at about the 32nd lap, and Mauricio comes in on 33. So we'll see when the leaders decide to head for the pits, and that'll tell us a lot about racetrack.
Remember, they've got to go 37 laps if they're going to make this a two-stop race under green. So Mauricio already setting himself up for a stop and go before the end of this.
This is one of the reasons all the Champ Car teams love to come to the Pacific Northwest and the race here at Portland. There's your order. Castroneves is led from the green flag.
Bob Gleason here, still hoping to get that interview with Jimmy Vasser and Juan Montoya of the Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team. Jimmy? They knew about the interview, right? Juan's never passed up a trophy in his life. Here he comes. Hey, look! Whoa! This has to work. Jimmy's such a softie. Look cute, sweetheart. Hold those cookies high. I swear, they said he was good for 12 boxes.
Don't miss the unstoppable Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team. Hey!
Rich, we're going public with the news. Let me know how soon you can get everyone together. Email me. Andy, David, can you deliver 4 cases of champagne? Hold on. By 3? Great.
Introducing Nextel Online, the new wireless internet services from Nextel.
We've been driving too long.
The polar bears are starting to look good.
The highest ground clearance in its class. A powerful V6 engine. Endless possibilities.
This week, the LPGA Tour rolls into Atlantic City, where the stakes are always high, but the low score wins the trophy. The ShopRite LPGA Classic begins Friday at 2 on ESPN2.
A great tradition continues on ESPN2 Friday Night Fights. This week's main event, Ray Oliveira battles Isaac Cruz in a 10-round super lightweight bout. Friday Night Fights, Friday at 9 on ESPN2.
Cal Wells brought his PPI team in. Oriol Servia and Cristiano D'Amata on the 34th lap. Now we expect that Elio Castroneves and Gil DeFerrin and the rest of the front runners should be in shortly. Michael Andretti's in, Jan.
Yes, just in a 13-second pit stop where he got tires and fuel, but he's short of that two-stop window that Parker was talking about. Moreno has yet to hit pit road, as well as some of the other leaders.
Montoya's in. You're watching Kenny Breck. You see the Penske team waiting for their cars. And Breck's away. Here comes Elio Castroneves as he drops it down, gets under the pit speed limit. He's got to go all the way down to the very last pit. Gary?
And this plays perfectly into his hands because Kenny Breck and Juan Montoya have completed their stops. Wide open glide into position for Castroneves. He has not said a word at all. He's loved the handling on the setup. We're watching to see no changes whatsoever that we can see. He's rolling just under 13 seconds. Meanwhile, his teammate DeFerrin is in. They got a slight wind change up front. They lowered the tire pressures for DeFerrin, and Gil is now gone.
Well, that answers that question. They were on the same fuel strategy.
And but the one who has not stopped is Roberto Moreno. And if you think back to the race 1 week ago at Detroit, they were able to get that car a little bit further, and they have been several times this year.
The Patrick cars have always been able to get amazing fuel mileage.
Clean pit, right in.
And this would be lap 37. This is exactly what he needs to do.
Moreno in, Jan Vikas waits.
This is exactly where you want to be if you are on that two-stop strategy. They expect to make no changes for Roberto. He's resetting the fuel on the dash, the meter that is. Notice no tear out coming off.
5.
What's the delay? There seems to be a bit of a delay there. 14.6. It didn't seem to come off the air jacks as soon as you would expect, but he hit the pit window as far as fuel. That's the most important part.
Oh, he left the air jack connected. You see that?
Yeah, they pulled the fuel hose and the vent hose, but the lollipop for the air hose stayed connected. That's a mystery there.
Remember, I mentioned that Cristiano D'Amata pitted 1 lap before the rest of these, as did Oriol Servia's teammate. And remember, too, as you watch this fight, that Moreno's tires are not up to full operating temperature, and D'Amata certainly recognizes that and knows if he's going to get this guy, this is win.
He's got to do it this lap, but it looks like Roberto's already got heat in his tires, and he's starting to pull out a little bit of a gap.
Moreno came out in third. D'Amata is fourth. The front unchanged. Castroneves, Gil DeFerrin. Eric Montoya, he's the 5th place car behind D'Amata. Again, he didn't have the energy to get past. Now both of them are going to have the unfortunate and unenviable position of having Montoya all over him. Franchitti is in. Jan?
Yes, remember that Dario Franchitti and his teammate Paul Tracy made a quick stop and go early for fuel. Wow, that was fast. 11.1 on my watch, but he's got some ground to make up.
Always turns in some incredibly good stops, both for Franchitti and for Paul Tracy, his teammate. So here comes your leader, Elio Castroneves. You want to see an interval? Just considering those pit stops, way back there, 5, almost 6 seconds back, is Gil DeFerrin.
And Castroneves is hooked up. I haven't seen this car move side to side, lock a wheel, since the start of the race. We saw this from the Penske chassis last weekend at Detroit. They were blistering fast in the test at Mid-Ohio the week before. And this young man is very, very confident, having gotten his 2nd pole, first one on a road course.
Parker, remember, he had a great run here for the Hogan team last year, and he led 20 laps early after starting in the front row, and then eventually was sidelined with an electrical problem. Deep in the recesses of his mind, you probably, once you've been burned in a deal like that, I would imagine it's still working back there somewhere, thinking, oh, please don't let it happen again.
Well, it is, and there are certain tracks that just owe you, Gary, and I'm sure Castroneves feels that Portland is one of those places. I talked to Elliott a little earlier in the week, and he said even though he's driving a Renard chassis this year and he's very happy with it, feels like maybe he should get some commission over the Lola sales that have happened so far this year from his performances that he turned in last year.
Yeah, consider all the changes that Team Penske made over the winter. Driver, chassis, engine, tire. Now they're running first and second. Michael Andretti, when he made his stop, now looked overhead. 40 laps complete at Portland.
It takes off with ease, turns with incredible precision, and grabs like it's second nature. Firehawk, the racing tires from Firestone, winner of 51 Indy 500s, and the inspiration behind Firehawk Performance Street Tires. On the track or on the street, no name soars higher with pride than Firehawk. Born at Indy, performs everywhere.
Introducing the Sprint PCS wireless web phone by Motorola. The power of the internet is in your hand.
For years, Honda engineers have developed the ultimate in racing technology. Innovations that have brought the manufacturers championships, the respect of the entire racing world, and of course, groupies.
Change.
That's no problem, my extremely tall friend. Call Collect.
Oh, yeah.
Just be sure to dial 1-800-COLLECT.
Is it really better?
Oh, yeah. 1-800-COLLECT saves you at least $1 or $2.
It saves $1 or $2?
And it's easy. For a collect call, dial 1-800-COLLECT.
That's great. You know, you're kind of cute.
What can I say? I love this job. 1-800-COLLECT. Save $1 or $2.
Don't forget the coverage of everything auto racing-ish will be on RPM tonight, right after our coverage here. Lineup of some of the events and stories they're going to be covering. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com. No change in the order. In the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200 at Portland International Raceway, that's your leader, Elio Castroneves, the leader 1 week ago. You remember how he celebrated then? How will he celebrate now if he puts them 2 in a row? Jill DeFerrin is second quick, and then Roberto Moreno. Of those 3, only Moreno has not won this year, or in fact, not won in the series at all. And many people think that he is more than overdue. And I have a feeling that should he win a race, it will begin to rival the performance of Elio Castroneves. Gary Gerald?
Jill DeFerrin likes the changes that were made during that pit stop. They were going to do a turn on the wing and lower tire pressures at the rear. He says the car is much better at this time. How much of that is attributed to just having new rubber? Don't know. Hottest day we've had this weekend. We just checked with one of the Firestone engineers. The tires that came off the Penske team car showed very little wear. They had a little bit of buildup from marbling on the racetrack, but no major concerns from a tire standpoint, at least at this end of the pits for Team Penske.
He may be happy with the handling, but I don't think he's real happy with the fact that he's got Moreno, D'Amata, and Montoya all lined up right behind him.
He's been taking off about 0.3 of a second off the interval to his teammate Castroneves over the last few laps, so he's definitely making headway, but he still has a ways to go since Castroneves is just over 3 seconds ahead.
Numbers there from Moreno reflect the fact that that whole group is coming forward and slowly catching Elio Castroneves. This year they have been alternating pace car drivers each race. And today, having the unenviable job of having to handle that first lap situation and the subsequent yellow is Gail Truis, who was at the wheel of the pace car, and Patty Hughes sitting alongside having to control the field and point who can go past and who can't. Now they're sitting quiet by the roadside, hoping to not have to head out again. Amata, 4th place, Montoya just behind him. Now a bit of a separation back to Christian Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti. We're going to show you the engines and who has which engine. Of course, Honda in the top 2 positions.
And Honda has dominated on the street and road courses for the last several years. We've seen strong runs, obviously, by this driver in the Toyota-powered engine, as well as his teammate Jimmy Vasser down at Long Beach. The Fords have done quite well, but Honda has had them all covered when it comes to getting to the checkered flag first.
Moreno's a Ford, and then Cristiano D'Amata and Montoya, they're both Toyotas. Is right there, Jan Vikas.
Yes, and one of the things that I asked Roberto before the race, I said, why is it that your teammate, Adrian Fernandez, always seems to go farther on fuel than you do? And he goes, well, remember this. He says, I am very, very good on fuel. Adrian's just a little better. I think what he's trying to say, Paul, is that generally they can go farther than other competitors, and Adrian just has this uncanny way of going more. But I think today, for Moreno, he's exactly where he wants to be.
The record certainly would bear that out, though. Fernandez is not a factor in this race to this point. Getting caught up on the first lap, he is now 18th a lap behind the field. And for the first time, Castro Neves has to worry about traffic as he comes around Mauricio Gugelmin. Gugelmin, the last car on the lead lap.
When you're in that situation, you know the leader's coming up, but you certainly just don't want to let him by, because your worst fears would be realized if a full course yellow were to come out at this moment, when you could have gotten back to that lead group on the lead lap. And now Mauricio's a lap down, and you'll see he'll move over very professionally and let the rest of this lead pack go by.
The next guy that Helio Castroneves is going to run into is Paul Tracy, who is currently 16th, the points leader. And a less than great qualifying, a terrible stop, and a pit stop at the end of the first lap, which put him back there. He's on the lead lap, well back.
You'll see as they come to the end of this pit straightaway.
Well, Tracy's going to be able to clear out of the way for him because he's pit bound.
Watch Mauricio breathe the throttle here and let them through. Whoa! that surprised me. And there he moves over. Now he's letting Moreno through. I thought for certain he'd just back off there at the end of the straightaway and let this lead group go through. And I think he caught Roberto by surprise when he turned in for the first corner.
Yeah, but you pointed out how the width of this track changes drastically.
It does, and if they get too far off the outside of you, it's very difficult to see where they are, or you lose contact with them altogether. You may not have known where Roberto was exactly and just turned in for the corner.
Helio Castroneves still leads it. Nice battle lined up behind him, though, with Ferrin, Moreno, and Cristiano D'Amata. Again, some of the beauty. The Great Pacific Northwest. We have 48 laps now complete, with the Penske cars doing everything they can to drive away from the rest of the field.
finest ingredients.
In the barley fields and in the hop fields, everyone has a genuine passion and commitment to upholding the highest standards.
Quality, freshness, attention to detail. Blend those things and you have what Budweiser is all about.
Combat Rangers. They're rough, they're tough, they're battle-tested. They're lean, mean fighting machines. When there's a battle to be won, Combat Rangers get the job done. Making backyards safe for democracy.
Now, tell me why they're wearing dresses?
The commander uniforms didn't arrive from China on time.
That's because you picked the wrong shipping company.
Next time, use the only U.S. Express shipper with direct routes from China. FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Matching night vision tiara sold separately.
The surprisingly affordable Leganza from Daewoo. At less than $19,000, no other car has taken luxury this far.
Welcome back to the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200. Paul Page with Parker Johnstone. Castro Neves is still leading. There have been no changes since we left you. But it's still DeFer and Moreno D'Amata. They've been running pretty close constantly during the last few laps. Kevin Chambers works on Christian Fittipaldi's car, and during the last pit stop, he was the guy with our helmet cam, and we were able to take a point of view from the outside left front of the car. Now, can you imagine what it's like having to stand out there, cars going by behind you, and a 900 horsepower car ready to roar back into the competition. Jan?
Yes, and I was able to watch that from the other side of the pit wall from his perspective, and he actually had some trouble there where the wheel nut came out of the socket and it started to roll away. He got his glove on it and stopped it, and then he had to pick it up, put it back in the gun, thread it by hand, and so he lost a little bit of time. But boy, if he hadn't snapped that wheel nut with his glove, it could have rolled away, and he would have had to dig a spare one out of his pocket.
You may remember, Jan, when we were doing pit stop contests as a broadcast team, and every time I set the wrench down, there went the nut bouncing across the ground. That's actually hard to do. DeFer in second. Back in the field, about 8th place, Oriol Servia, who had a great run a week ago at Detroit, got on the podium. He's a rookie to the series, defending Indy Lights champion. And he's got another rookie, the current points leader in the rookie fight, Kenny Breck, right behind him.
They've been having a good battle. As you mentioned last week, the first podium not only for Oriol Servia, but also for Cal Wells and the PPI team. Kenny Breck has been so fast so many times this year. Had his podium finish at Nazareth. He's just had a lot of things go wrong at the wrong time to put together a more consistent string of finishes.
Kenny Breck and Max Pappas both drive for Bobby Rahal. Former Indy champion, 3-time champion here in this series, who now is serving as the interim president for the kart organization and the interim chief executive officer, and has stepped away from the team during competition because of that. He didn't want any conflict. Gary?
Kenny Breck continues to chase Oriol Servia. We just checked with their team to see how things went after the first pit stop. They report that Breck likes the way the car has responded to the changes they made on that first stop. And in fact, they told him on the radio, if he gets the opportunity, go ahead and use that overtake button. Try to get full rich, a little squirt of horsepower there that might enable him to get by Oriol Servia.
Back at the front of the field, from time to time there behind Servia and Breck, you got a glimpse of one of the Team Green cars. That was Tracy. He's still a lap behind the field trying to make his way forward. That interval, first to second, getting shorter and shorter.
They worked it down to about 2.22 seconds. Then Castro Neves pushed it back out to 2.6. But on that last lap, He's now only 1.6 seconds ahead of DeFerrin, Moreno, and D'Amato.
And Parker, I think one of the reasons is that Tim Cindric has asked him to help us out a little bit on fuel. They want to get just around 1.95. That's basically at this circuit 1 gallon per lap. In fact, we've monitored conversations from 4 teams in the last few minutes. Each case, the engineers or the team manager pleading with the driver, help us just a little bit on fuel. They're trying to squeeze out at least one more lap before they have to make that next stop.
54 complete, 58 to go. 35 gallons of fuel on board the cars when they're full.
And to make it a 2-stop race, we said you've had to go 37 laps. That means 2.1 miles per gallon. And just a pinch. And for a driver, it's so hard when you're pushing to have a guy say, you got to get more mileage, you got to do better. Stay away from the overtake button. You just got to drive it deeper into the corners and just hang on that much harder.
The leaders complete the festival curves with a view from the Honda Helican. So this whole fuel game that is now being played, Jan?
Yes, and Parker, you talked about lap 37. We knew that was the magic first stop. The magic next number is 75. That is the only lap that it appears if you're going for a 2-stop strategy, you can stop on and make it. So that's why we're seeing and hearing some of the fuel adjustments now, because that window is narrowing because we've had no full course cautions.
Well, 75 is 20 laps away. Here's a projection based on a full reload on the last stop of laps left in the tank, and that didn't add up to 75.
Well, we know Moreno's going to make it. And the advantage he's got is that if he's able to extend fuel even greater at this point following DeFerrin, that means on the closing segment of the race, he's going to be able to run richer than anyone else, have more power to get down that long straightaway, and overtake under braking.
Quickest last time around was Michael Andretti. He's been running laps at about 114 miles an hour. Sits back in 6th place with Alex Tagliani behind him. This has been the center of most of the attention during the day. It's certainly where most of the conflict has been, or at least potential conflict, as Roberto Moreno has pretty much been the second story of the day behind the great run by Helio Castroneves. Roberto Moreno trying to catch Gil DeFerrin has been something to watch. Approaching the halfway point with 56 laps complete. The snow-covered heats, Hood, St. Helens all look down over this track. There's the top 5 with Honda, Ford, and then 2 Toyotas.
Schooners Battle of Bands is now on Sunday nights at 6 o'clock. Come to Schooners, see 4 bands perform live every Sunday night. See everything from classic rock to punk, heavy metal to alternative. This Schooners event is open to all ages, so bring the whole family. It's gonna be a battle, and the winner will walk away with over $20,000 in prizes, including a music video package from Jones Intercable. Other great prizes from Schooners, 93.5 The Quake, the Music Center, and the Hollywood Music Company. Any questions? Call Schooners Entertainment Hotline at 940-7389. Schooners Battle of Bands for a rocking good time.
Haircuts always make me look younger than I am, so consequently, what's not to like?
Oh, all my friends come. I've told them all about it, and all of them come.
Great fade. It's the only place to get it in town correctly done first time.
The Barbershop on Avenue I is announcing their new summer hours. We'll be open till 7:30 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday night. We also have a senior special, Monday through Thursday only. Seniors are just $5. The Barbershop, Lancaster and Palmdale.
My apartment has a TV. I watch RPM tonight for my knowledge. The more I watch, the bigger it gets. Someday, I will share my knowledge with the world. That will be a fun day.
Series continues next week as the Cars FedEx Championship Series moves to the Burt Lakefront Airport in Cleveland and the Marconi Grand Prix of Cleveland with coverage on ABC Sports. We'll have qualifying and our Car Today coverage on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of GoNetwork, go.com. No changes. Castroneves still leads, though now he's got to work some traffic. Closing behind him now, 1.1 seconds away, is Gil DeFerrin. And despite the traffic and the closer with DeFerrin, Moreno has not really come in to begin an attack again on DeFerrin.
+1.
But I don't think he's going to, Paul. I think he's riding very comfortably here. He's getting a bit of a tow. He's pacing behind DeFerrin, conserving fuel and his tires. He just doesn't want to get caught out here behind Garcia Jr. and lose contact with DeFerrin.
That's Luis Garcia Jr., the Hollywood car. They're going around. And he cleanly lets the leaders pass. So Moreno, he skates it for a second.
He had to go offline to make that pass. He probably got a little bit of pickup on his tires. That's going to affect him for a while here until he's able to clean those tires off.
Just a quick side note on Luis Garcia Jr. He had to go to the medical center today and came away with a heavily bandaged right hand. He got a lot of blisters on that hand from off the shift lever. Parker, I know you and Jan can probably relate to that. At certain courses, sometimes you just end up with your hands, if they're not calloused, you got yourself some major aches and pains.
Oh, sorry. I'll tell you what. Fittipaldi and Carpentier, as Fittipaldi moved around him, almost got together. That was pretty close.
I think Patrick was going to turn in and realize that there is going to be a heck of a wreck if he did that and just had no other place to go. Christian got through, and you could see the momentum that Carpentier lost, trying to get back up to speed now behind Fittipaldi.
Tell if that's some breakup in the track, the corner they just came off of, or whether it's just the way the rubber is laid down there. Certainly is now, with 60 laps complete, a pretty substantial buildup of rubber both on the track and marbles just off the edge of the groove.
Well, what you're seeing there is there are patches. They repaved this track several years ago. You can see there, in this area, the patchwork. They've got concrete underneath. They put slurry seal on top. We had some big NASCAR competitors running earlier in the weekend. They put a lot of load into this track because of their weight. Different sort of rubber, and now the Champ cars at 3Gs can easily pull this material up. It's very bumpy. It's right on the drive wheel side of the corners. And there has been a concern all weekend that that patching may come up.
Castroneves, the young Brazilian. In fact, Brazilians remain first through fourth. Then the Colombian Montoya and Michael Andretti from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. He runs in sixth. Let's go back to Montoya. He runs in fifth place. That he has no idea how really good he is, fastest hands in the business, and how casually he takes all this, how easy it is for him to relax. Last night here at the track, after most of the people were gone, he had a little gas-powered radio control car that he was doing loops and spins with. He said he'd had it for about a week and was really having a good time with it. His handling there is almost as good as it is here.
I saw that car earlier in the weekend. I went back to talk to Jimmy Vassar, and he and Jimmy had been working on that car for several weeks. And as we ride along with Montoya, this is the least amount of opposite lock I've seen him drive all weekend long, trying to conserve tires, trying to be careful with the chassis. I'm a little concerned on the upshift, so you can hear the same sort of shudder that we heard earlier in the season when we were on board with Jimmy Vassar that ultimately led to a gearbox failure. Listen on the upshift here. You can hear just a little bit of shuddering as he changes up into that higher gear.
Of course, those kinds of problems have been telling for Montoya through the first 7 races when you consider the laps led, and yet all of those laps led have produced a single victory in the Champ cars.
If you look at all the what-ifs, clearly, because of a few freak things that have gone wrong, he'd have an enormous lead into the championship to this day.
And again, if they are going to make the fuel strategy to 2 stops, well, then the 75th lap is going to be the next mark. We're at the 63rd lap now, and most of our calculations show that at least the leaders, Castroneves and DeFerrin, may not be capable of making it to the 75th lap. Castroneves, Bill DeFerrin, Roberto Moreno, they lead at the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200. We'll be right back.
See if they got one of these. I don't believe it. Do you know how long it's been since I've seen one of those? How'd you find this? Oh, go back. Give me the mouse. Give me the mouse. Come on.
Car Guys, your website is here. CarParts.com, the world's largest supply of parts and accessories for cars and trucks.
Oh, man.
No, stop!
Indy winners demand one thing: great performance. But then, so do you. That's why Firestone introduces the Firehawk SS20 with Unity for road-hugging stability, nimble handling, and great traction, especially in the wet. All of which reflects very well on its owner. The Firehawk SS20 with Unity Ultimate Tire Technology from Firestone. Firehawk, born at Indy, performs everywhere.
Hi, folks. Bob Gleason here with Jimmy Vassar and Juan Montoya of the Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team. Jimmy? Juan? Jimmy! Juan! Just a few words if you can stop for a second. Obviously, we got to try a different approach. Say hi to Jimmy's high school flame from California. Hey, Jimmy! Remember Cindy? Senior year? Let's try Juan. Hey, look, Juan! It's your favorite dish. Don't miss the unstoppable Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team.
If you're into baseball, get into baseball today. Tune in every Sunday at noon on ESPN2 to catch up on the week's action and look ahead at what's to come. For all the scores, stats, and breaking news, join the best team in baseball on Baseball Today.
Coverage of the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200 is being brought to you by CarParts.com. Everything for cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Big Mo, Mauricio Guzman, his day started bad and has gotten worse. He had to start way in the back, and now still in the cockpit, they have pushed him off the edge of the racetrack back alongside of Takuma Kurosawa's car. On the track, nothing has changed. It is Castroneves, followed by DeFerrin. And Michael Andretti is working pretty hard on Montoya right now. He just closed in here.
You can see once again, excellent car positioning by Michael Andretti, just placing it right in the right side mirror of Montoya. Just a friendly reminder that he's there, looking for a chance to get by.
We mentioned at the start the potential changes in the points. Well, if they would finish up in the positions they're in right now, then Helio Castroneves would move to the lead in the points fight. Roberto Moreno would move to third. DeFerrin has come up into second. Pretty interesting move. Paul Tracy, who is sitting there at the top of the order, he'll drop down. He's going to lose some position.
You can see Michael having a look down the inside going into turn 10 there. Very dangerous place to pass, but that's not Michael's intention. Just trying to get Juan distracted, have him looking.
Michael,
There he goes.
Down to the inside, very clean pass. Though you wonder why he takes that shot when he just got an L1. I'm assuming means that you're going to have to bring that thing in here shortly.
Well, the engineers always encourage the drivers to turn their quickest laps on the way in and on the way out to minimize the loss of pitting under the green. You assume that they're always driving as hard as they can anyway. It's just that little extra encouragement.
The 67th lap right now. We're 8 away from the optimum stop for the final pit stop here.
We're getting a couple of calls over the radio for drivers that'll be coming in the next lap or two, which ensures they'll have to do splash and goes unless there's a late yellow.
Garcia Jr. just made his stop. That's Tarso Marquez that is turning off into the pits in front of Michael now. Michael stays out. Castro Neves at the other end of the pit straight.
D'Aleo had gotten the interval up to 2.3 seconds. It's now back down to 1.76 seconds over DeFerrin and Moreno, Tamada and the rest.
Now there's DeFerrin. He's right there. Oriol Servia hits the pits. He was in 8th. Remember, he was battling with Kenny Breck. PPI team gets it serviced, and they're away. Michael Andretti, we're anticipating the stop this lap for Michael.
4 tires and fuel, Mike. Cars when you enter the pit lane.
Look at the gap he's pulled on Montoya in only 2 laps.
Watch your speed and check your PLC. This will be your new set of tires. Come on down the street. Hit your marks, Mike.
And of course, as Parker said, this stop, because it comes this early, unless there's a yellow, we'll see Michael Andretti back here on pit road. 13.4, you could see that the fuel in the vent hose released perfectly. That's something that Newman Haas, that's something this team has been working on hard, is getting those guys disconnected. Gary?
Riding into a perfect stop is Kenny Breck for his service. Something to keep in mind. Breck was 1 lap earlier than the Penske team last time. He was on the same lap as Montoya. So Montoya obviously is getting better mileage than Breck. He stays out. An 11-second stop basically for Kenny Breck.
We got a good example too as Servia comes down alongside Breck as he comes off of the pit line. You saw that move too. Rahal team, they go for that starter motor. That's regardless of what the engine's doing. They want to have it in hand just in case that the engine would fail on him. It did not that time, and Kenny Breck went back into the fight. The stop should be coming up now for the leader in just a bit.
With a CD stereo, Berber carpet, and a bimini top, the LS2000 sport boat from Yamaha has something for everybody, including 2 135 horsepower engines, which conveniently works out to 1 engine per water skier. Thoughtful, aren't we? Yamaha, solid thinking for a liquid world.
Wouldn't it be great to have instant access to information on the internet, wherever you are? Soon, you'll be able to.
For years, Honda engineers have developed the ultimate in racing technology. Innovations that have brought the manufacturers championships, the respect of the entire racing world, and of course, groupies. Fortunately, this same technology goes into every Honda we build.
As Gil DeFerrin comes in from second place, Elio Castro Neves just crossed the 100 lap mark. 4 laps led in the past 2 races.
Gil DeFerrin getting Roger Penske in the background talking to DeFerrin. This time Castro Neves does not pit on the same lap. This is a great stop at just over 9 seconds.
fourth. Clean away. I didn't see a reach for any of the tabs on the front wing for Montoya, did you?
Yep, they took a little bit of wing out of the front of Montoya's car. And he's going to do everything to keep Michael from going by here.
If anybody can do it, he can. He's amazing on cold tires, but in this case, Michael was a little more amazing.
You know what surprises me on that last round of stops is DeFerrin came in a lap earlier than he had on the first stop, and that means that he also got worse mileage considering the pace laps prior to the green flag and the yellow afterwards.
Now here's the leader, Elio Castroneves.
Tim Cindric calling the instructions.
8 seconds speed limiter off. You'll be ready to go. Still short fill here, so you're going to be right on it.
Short fuel, no changes aerodynamically. Oh, it's not as short as they thought. That's a 13.5 second stop.
Oh, Tracy's in trouble.
He's had some sort of suspension failure in the left rear there, Paul. The tire's still attached, but definitely a suspension failure of some type.
Well, that may put an end to Paul Tracy's day.
And there goes the championship points lead.
You know, here's what I don't understand. If you're on the 75th lap or 72nd lap, you're stopping the leader. You're going to short fuel him so that you can stop him again. I mean, I know you have to fuel him, but apparently that's part of the game now.
Yeah, but this is the man here, Roberto Moreno. Remember, he came in the first time on lap 37. He was the only car with the initial round of pit stops that looked like he can make this a two-stop race if it stays green. He has not pitted yet. He is getting phenomenal fuel mileage.
Lap and a half to go if he's going to make it to that magic 75th lap. With the Penske stops, DeFerrin actually came out in second place ahead of Castroneves. Then DeMata, then Fittipaldi. He's going for it. He's going to run for the 75th.
And they want to make sure that Moreno acknowledges this because you can't miss that instruction to come in.
Yeah, if he misses that one, they're going to be refueling that thing on the course. Gary Gerald, Paul Tracy's finally made it back around.
Yeah, we watch now as he comes limping down pit road. Next to him, Dario Franchitti's team is laid out anticipating a regular stop. The wheel comes off for Paul Tracy, and obviously, man, 4 straight races now without scoring a championship point after being the leader here in recent events.
Franchitti will come in from 10th place when he heads for the pits. Sucking every gallon of fuel through that Ford engine now. Should be bringing a dry tank in as Roberto Moreno on the pit road.
Okay, clean pit. Clean pit. Nice and open.
Jan Beekes is there.
Yes, and he's made it to the 75th lap. Now we got to get all the fuel in this car. That's the main concern here. Don't stop short when you're fueling it. The way you can tell when it's full of fuel.
There's no flow. Recock the fuel.
Oh, no. There's no flow on the fuel. This is going to take forever. Oh, they forgot to cock the fuel, or it got uncocked when they put it in.
5.
Wait for the fuel that you see it in the vent. Oh, that was very costly. Almost 20 seconds. Oh, that could be the win for Moreno.
DeFerrin did go by and picked up the lead of the race while they had that miscue in the Patrick pits.
Moreno's only prayer now, Paul, is a yellow flag doesn't come out, that he does not get a yellow flag so that these guys have to stop before the end. And the only thing that DeFerrin and Castroneves and those in front of Moreno can hope for is that yellow, or to get some great fuel mileage, but I don't think they can possibly make it to the end.
And for the first time, Castroneves goes to second place and immediately comes under attack by Cristiano DeMata and Christian Fittipaldi. DeFerrin runs alone in the lead now.
+9 on Elliott. Nice and smooth.
Now look up the track. You want to see this interval and this little fight come off the corner? There are the next three. Cristiano Damata's having a great day. He's not in there where he can get around Castroneves yet, but he's close. And so is Fittipaldi. So now we get a change in the complexion of the race here. 76 are complete. There was the problem for Roberto Moreno. They had to retox the fueling nozzle to get it to flow. And that cost Roberto Moreno terribly. DeFerrin is now the leader.
Surprisingly affordable Leganza from Daewoo. At less than $19,000, no other car has taken luxury this far.
Combat Rangers. They're rough, they're tough, they're battle-tested. They're lean, mean fighting machines. When there's a battle to be won, Combat Rangers get the job done. Making backyards safe for democracy.
Now, tell me why they're wearing dresses?
The commander uniforms didn't arrive from China.
That's because you picked the wrong shipping company.
Next time, use the only U.S. Express shipper with direct routes from China. FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Matching night vision tiara sold separately.
There it is. Let's go.
On the left.
Want to get the coolest stuff in the world? Go to Miller's Get the Goods online auction. Find tons of cool stuff. Plus a chance to help a charity. Details at millergetthegoods.com and wherever you buy Miller Lite.
Don't wait up.
We got a hostage situation here. Bunch of soccer players just hijacked the network.
We're out of peanut butter crackers. Here, that's some fruit stripe gum.
Kobe, why are you doing this?
Why? We're America's League. They gotta see us.
You shouldn't eat that stuff, man. It'll kill you.
What? We got prices over here.
MLS Soccer Saturday on ESPN and ESPN2.
No changes in the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200. It is still Gil DeFerrin that leads this race. Helio Castroneves is now a full 10 1/2 seconds back. And he is trying to hold off Damata, Fittipaldi, and in fact even Michael Andretti starting to get into that fight. While at the same time back in 6th place sits Roberto Moreno with Montoya beginning to work on him.
So consider the fuel strategy at this point. Remember, DeFerrin last year was exactly in the same position. Do you sprint to go for the splash and go at the end, which I think is inevitable in DeFerrin's case, because as far as I can tell, there are only 2 drivers on the lead lap that can make it to the end. And right now, that's Roberto Moreno and Dario Franchitti.
Paul Tracy is going to take a walloping in the points. He came in here the leader. He's going way down in the order, Gary.
Yeah, he's talking with Tony Cicali about what happened. They had an opportunity to get a quick word with him, and maybe we can get in here and get a word as well. Reconstructing what happened on the opening lap. Paul, there was something broken in the suspension. Was it a result of that first lap incident?
It was a left rear toe link. I think it was probably caused from the very first incident in the first corner. I got clipped by somebody and turned around backwards in the middle of the course. You know, and I think that did the damage to it because the steering was bent and cocked a little bit the opposite way, and then just over time, bouncing over the curb on the back straightaway, I think it finally broke.
The tough luck continues now. For 3 races, you've been able to hang on to that points lead. It's going to be lost now.
Well, you know, we're just having a spell of bad luck, and we got to get it turned around and just keep doing what we're doing and try to get points the rest of the year.
And the next opportunity is next week at Cleveland, Jan.
Front wing.
Yes, and Christian Fittipaldi.
Take a while here.
They're talking about front wing. They're going to add some to Christian's car.
Watch Kevin.
Got the front wing in. Now waiting for the fuel.
No,
You're not clearing those rear tires yet, but he waited till he got the go, go, go.
Fittipaldi in 10th place. DeFerrin now a 12-second lead over second place Helio Castroneves. The more important number is he has 21 seconds over Roberto Moreno. Moreno should not have to stop, but everybody ahead of him, as Parker suggested, will have to stop. The worst thing that could happen to Moreno is a full course caution, but they have been driving a very clean race here.
As I said earlier, this is a repeat. On that lap, DeFerrin pulled out another second over Castroneves and the gang. We'll see what the interval is back to Moreno. He's just got his foot to the floor. He's pulled another second on Moreno as well. That interval now is 22 seconds. DeFerrin will have to pick. Castroneves, D'Amata, Andretti. Moreno will not. And so DeFerrin has got it just full rich, foot to the floor, trying to extend this interval as far as he can for that final splash and go.
And that's part of the Penske thinking, I'm sure. They short-filled DeFerrin, so he's a lighter car. He can go faster, but he can't go a whole lot further.
And if a yellow should come out, they've backed up this position with Castroneves.
13.6, plus 13.6. Good job, nice and smooth.
You can hear Roger giving Gilles the interval back to his teammate Castroneves. Roger's got the field covered in strategy. He's going to win either way.
14.2 plus 14.2. You're in position 1.
He's pulled out another 7/10 on that lap.
Roger gives you a pretty good continuous update, doesn't he? Sounds like an air traffic controller.
Well, these are low-flying aircraft, that's for sure.
Ground-bound rocket, that's what they are. Well, you remember when Roberto Moreno came into the pits and spent an extraordinarily long time there. They were talking about recocking the nozzles so the fuel line would flow. Jan Bikas, you've got an update there.
Well, I do, Paul. Let's take a look at that nozzle. Before you start a pit stop, you cock the fuel nozzle. So you can take a look at it down here. You would cock it into position. Now, these are designed that if you ever get it askew or you bump it or something that might cause a fuel leakage, it will uncock itself and shut off the flow of fuel. Sometime before the fuel nozzle actually got into the car, this thing cocked over, stopped the fuel flow, nothing went in. Thankfully, they saw it on their telemetry. It was then recocked, but unfortunately, it made it a 20-second stop for Roberto Moreno.
Well, part of that design was to help prevent fires on refueling, so it's a good safety factor, but nevertheless, if you miss it, it can cost you a great deal of time. Tagliani, Montoya. This is a battle for 6th. Tagliani's closed up on there and is working Montoya. So DeFerrin now holds a 24-second interval over Roberto Moreno and 15 seconds over second place Helio Castroneves.
Come to Kragen for Exide 72-month batteries starting at only $34.99. And buy any 2 Pennzoil oil filters and air filters and get all 4 for only $12. More brands, more parts. Kragen, the place to start for parts.
Your own island hideaway. Your own coral reef. Your own private ski cove. Order any new 2000 Yamaha Wave Runner by June 30th, and you'll pay just $19.99 down, $19.99 a month, and 1.99% interest through January 1st, 2001. A small price to pay for a great summer. Yamaha. Solid thinking for a liquid world.
A great tradition continues on ESPN2 Friday Night Fights. This week's main event, Ray Oliveira battles Isaac Cruz in a 10-round super lightweight bout. Friday Night Fights, Friday at 9 on ESPN2.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Sports Center. I'm Dan Patrick.
And I'm Rich Eisen. World's Strongest Man is next.
Totally tripped through that Piazza highlight.
Yeah, you were real graceful in the Did You Know.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm emotionally spent. I can't bear to watch this.
5, 5, 6, 7, 5, 8, 3, 4, 3, 5.
He left it all on the set.
Our Toyota Spotlight takes a look at celebration. Jill DeFerrin, our current leader here last year. Dignified. Last week, Helio Castroneves, a little more excited, but it was, after all, his first win. Well, those are two of the possibilities. DeFerrin leads it. Castroneves is second, 18 seconds back from DeFerrin. The interval that we continue to watch is the man who will not have to stop again, Roberto Moreno. He's 26, almost 27 seconds back. And that's going to be really close when DeFerrin and Castroneves head for the pits for a refuel. The refuel itself should be fairly short, while the fuel is flowing a little bit slower because it's a gravity-fed tank. They're not going to have to flow nearly as much fuel, certainly not the 35 gallons that the tank can handle.
And DeFerrin's on fire. He's been pulling away between a second to a second and a half a lap on his teammate Castroneves. Now, over Moreno, he's 28.27 seconds ahead. So in the last 5 laps, he's pulled out over 5 seconds over Roberto Moreno.
Getting faster, it means it's getting lighter. But when does he come into the pits? Only the Penske team knows exactly what they put into that tank and when they will have to stop him again. Castroneves, second place. DeMotta's right there, Gary.
Problems for Castroneves, Paul. He's reported problems with the gearbox. He thinks it's third gear. Don't know if he's lost it. Tim Cindric on the radio telling baby and Helio, we got to bring this thing home.
How do you react to that one, baby?
Well, there are a few sections in the track where you can use fourth instead of third. You certainly can't use second.
Montoya's in trouble.
He's backed way off coming into the final corner here in turn 12. Watch him come into the pits, I expect.
Yep, heading for pit road. His teammate Jimmy Vasser out early. Now here comes Montoya. We'll watch him. There are no battles on the track right now. They're all lined up trying to figure out what they're going to do with this fuel strategy and how they're going to deal with Moreno. Gary Gerald.
Looking over the shoulder of Mike Hall. The wheel has come off the cockpit. That doesn't look good. Mike, what's the problem? We don't know. They don't know what the problem is. Even more frustrating. Obviously, it's all over for Juan Montoya.
Montoya's been forced to climb out of the cockpit.
Put tires on too. You're getting fresh tires.
A little too much for his satisfaction this year. Now they're starting to talk from the Penske pits. They're getting ready to stop. Jill DeFerrin at 21 seconds over Castroneves. We expect both of the Penske cars to stop shortly at the Freightliner T.I. Joe's 200.
My father was in the garage business, and his father was in the garage business. Well, my father was my mechanic all my life. I've got some old Craftsman tools that are still around, which I love and I treasure. My grandfather and also my father's tools, which nobody could ever buy.
1,800 Craftsman hand tools made in America, guaranteed forever.
He really believed in Craftsman, same as I do.
Amazing things can happen when you push the right buttons. Introducing the 240 horsepower S2000 Roadster from Honda.
You know what I love about Hong Kong?
What's that?
No leash. There's no way for the office to keep tabs on you. Hello? Really? It's official?
No, thank you.
What is that?
Nextel Worldwide works everywhere we do.
Well, that just means you're going to have to work everywhere, Bob.
Actually, it means you do. I just got promoted. You work for me.
Hey,
Introducing Nextel Worldwide. One phone, one number, worldwide. Nextel, how business gets done.
It takes off with ease, turns with incredible precision, and grabs like it's second nature. Firehawk, the racing tires from Firestone, winner of 51 Indy 500s, and the inspiration behind Firehawk Performance Street Tires. On the track or on the street, no name soars higher with pride than Firehawk. Born at Indy, performs everywhere.
Back at Portland International Raceway, waiting for the arrival of the Penske cars. Jill DeFerrin, the leader of the race, makes his turn onto the pit road.
Nice and smooth. Watch your speed limiter. Reset your fuel. Speed limiter off when you get in the pits. Nice and smooth. Plan B. Nice and smooth.
Ooh, Plan B. I love that code stuff.
A good strategy. They pulled him in before he had to work his way through the lap cars.
Gary.
Boy, he responds to directions. It was nice and smooth. Revs up. Another great stop. 9.6 seconds.
That was a terrific stop, but look here. Here comes Moreno. I'm sure Moreno knows this is important. DeFerrin's on cold tires. Castro Neves has taken the lead. Moreno has got to get him.
DeFerrin's got the upper hand here, though. He's on full fuel. Moreno's got to play conservative to make it to the end. And if he hasn't gotten it done now, it's not going to happen. Look at DeFerrin starting to stretch already. Brilliant strategy by Roger Penske. We don't know if they had to come in that lap. But instead of having to work his way through that lap traffic, if you know you have to stop, you might take a chance of a yellow not coming out. Just get it done early. And as long as he got out in front of Moreno, his race is done now.
Castro Neves has taken the lead. DeMata to second, Andretti to third. Jan?
And Paul, the Patrick team was hoping so much that possibly Moreno could stay in front of DeFerrin because they knew they had lost about 6 seconds in the pits. And you could see if they had not lost those 6 seconds, it would have been a totally different story right now.
Well, it's making the difference at this moment. You're absolutely right, Jan Beekes. The thing that amazes me is I would have thought that Moreno would have been able to charge a little bit harder on DeFerrin with DeFerrin coming out of the pits on cold tires.
Well, the advantage they have today, or at least DeFerrin does, is that the track temperature is 130 degrees plus. So in a sense, they're preheated. So it didn't take long at all for those tires to come right up to temperature. If it were an overcast 50-degree day, it may have been a very different story.
Castro Neves, DeMata, Andretti, first, second, third. They all have to stop. DeFerrin does not. He just made it. Moreno, we know, doesn't. They're fourth and fifth. DeFerrin has pulled out 8 seconds on Moreno.
Plus two DeMata.
Gary Gerald?
With Juan Montoya. Do you know what happened, Juan?
Something broke in the engine, and stopped revving, I went out of the first corner, went to put the power in, just wouldn't rev, so when I stopped it here, it's making a noise, so something broke.
How good was this race car up to that point today?
Not very good. We were struggling a lot with the car, but I think, our strategy was to save fuel, and I did that. And we were looking really good for the end of the race, to be able to run very rich. Now completely turned down, so I thought maybe at the end we could pick something, but, after like half of the run, tires were really bad and everything, so it was terrible.
How much did it hurt you not getting the 2-day practice session while you were getting ready to run at Indianapolis?
Well, the results, you can see them, it really hurt us.
Thank you.
Okay.
While he was getting ready for the Indianapolis 500, they did have a test available. Test available here, but they pointed out they were not able to make that test, and Montoya thinks it hurt him bad. Tagliani back up to the front. There is Castro Neves. He's closing on Patrick Carpentier. Behind Castro Neves, DeMata and Andretti. They're beginning to fight one another. With all the top three right now with 92 laps, 112 complete. Top three are going to have to make a stop before the end of this day. So that fuel strategy has become part of the game, but it may not have grabbed everything it needed for Roberto Moreno. We'll be back.
Introducing the Sprint PCS wireless web phone by Motorola. The power of the internet is in your hand.
Change.
That's no problem, my extremely tall friend. Call Collect.
Oh, yeah.
Just be sure to dial 1-800-COLLECT.
Is it really better?
Oh, yeah. 1-800-COLLECT saves you at least $1 or $2.
It saves $1 or $2?
And it's easy. For a collect call, dial 1-800-COLLECT.
That's great. You know, you're kind of cute.
What can I say? I love this job. 1-800-COLLECT. Save $1 or $2.
The surprisingly affordable Leganza from Daewoo. At less than $19,000, no other car has taken luxury this far.
Back at Portland International, the Budweiser Hard Charger Award still being contested with Cristiano D'Amata, who currently runs second, with the most points at this point, ahead of Garcia Jr., Michel Jourdain, and surprisingly Paul Tracy. Castro Neves, D'Amata, and Andretti. 1, 2, 3. There they are. They all have to make a pit stop. Now, it's not going to be much of a pit stop. It's a splash of the fuel. But in fourth place, with Moreno not far behind him, is Gil de Ferran. Fourth place is only 4 seconds behind the leader. What might make a difference would be a full course caution before the end of the race, and it doesn't seem likely.
And if they're playing their fuel strategies out the way they did the first stops, Michael Andretti will be the first of this group to come in, followed by Cristiano D'Amata, and then finally Castro Neves.
Alex Tagliani had a pretty good race going, but then Jan, he had a problem in the pits. Here comes Michael.
This should be fuel only. No tires are even set out for Michael.
Watch Jimmy, Mike.
7.7 seconds. All they needed was fuel. And that's a lot of time on pit road with this speed limit.
Yeah, it's going to bring him out at least down 5th or 6th without any question. D'Amata's still hanging on the back end of Castro Neves. Moreno with that follows De Ferran forward. De Ferran third, Moreno fourth. And Moreno has whittled a little bit of time off of Gil De Ferran. Now about a 3-second interval between De Ferran and Moreno.
Need to pass him if we can.
There's an opportunity for D'Amata. And there's De Ferran. That shows you how close he is to the lead. Running in third now.
And if you know you have to make a splash and go, you're going to turn the fuel up here, try to use the traffic in front of you, hopefully to hinder Castroneves. If you're Cristiano D'Amata, you want to try to get in front of him so that you have the advantage coming out of the pits for track position.
Another break for DeFerrin on the last lap. Moreno must have gotten caught behind somebody because he's dropped 5.5 seconds back from DeFerrin. Barely in view. Castroneves is going to take D'Amata another lap. Look up track there. There's Moreno. That's the distance that will become the battle for first and second.
Even though DeFerrin's running more fuel at this point to get to the end with that fresh set of tires, he's making up enormous ground on Cristiano D'Amata and on his teammate. He knows all he has to do is keep this interval behind Moreno. He wants to, if possible, work through this traffic if he can to get by D'Amata and his teammate, try to put a little space between he and Roberto Moreno. I was actually surprised that Michael came in so early. We should have been able to go well over lap 100 before the pit stop. I don't expect Cristiano or Castroneves in for a number of laps. At least 3 laps at this point.
Leaders completing the 98th lap now. Barron may take a shot at D'Amata before this lap is over.
I think he will. He gets an opportunity again if he can get him set up coming off that last corner down this straightaway. He'd like to get some breathing room between he and Moreno.
That's Carpentier just ahead. He's the last car on the lead lap, running 10th. And to his credit, Adrian Fernandez, despite his problem on the first lap, kept the car out in competition. He's a lap off the lead still, but that moved him into 13th. Senti Nakano driving for Derek Walker. He's in 12th right now. And a lap behind.
Boy, nice corner exit there by D'Amata. I thought for sure DeFerrin would try to suck up right behind him, but he couldn't do it. D'Amata got off that last corner very, very well.
Now 98 of the 112 are complete. Helio Castroneves is the leader. It's Honda, Toyota, Honda, and then a whole string of Ford. We'll be back.
This is our dream house.
Some dream.
Come back down this way.
It took him 2 years to choose the building materials.
It's like a canary, isn't it?
He's obsessed.
I'm thorough. I have this whole card catalog system. Did an interview process on the crew. I just need some information. So we're thinking about going turn of the century in here. That sound good? I like to know what's under the carpet. You know, what's over my head. I chose certainty. I really trust their products.
It's exactly what the builder said 2 years ago.
Are you gonna put this up now? Can I help? JJ?
Roads can only take you where somebody else wants you to go. But the new 155 horsepower Yamaha XL 1200 has the most powerful wave runner engine ever made. Designed so you can have the road go wherever you want it to go. Yamaha, solid thinking for a liquid world.
See if they got one of these. I don't believe it. Do you know how long it's been since I've seen one of those? How'd you find this? Oh, go back. Give me the mouse. Give me the mouse. Come on.
Car Guys, your website is here. CarParts.com, the world's largest supply of parts and accessories for cars and trucks.
Oh, man. No, stop.
Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200, Portland International Raceway, the Pacific Northwest. Here comes Cristiano D'Amato.
Yes, and he doesn't have to worry too much about the speed limit on the way in because he's only in the second occupied pit. They decide to go for tires and for fuel. 8.4 seconds. That's pretty quick considering he got 4 tires.
Tires and fuel at 8.4 is more than quick. That's hot. Nonetheless, it's going to cost him greatly just because of the slow run in and out of the pits. There's the leader, Castro Neves. DeFerrin's 1 second behind him.
On the last round of stops, Castro Neves was able to go 2 more laps farther than Cristiano D'Amato. Considering the fuel strategy, he's got to be in either this lap or the following lap.
Now, you do have to think about that potential complaint that came out of the Penske team, a possibility of a problem within the gearbox. Moreno is 2 seconds back from DeFerrin now. There he is. There's DeFerrin just ahead of him, right behind Castro Neves. Still have 11 laps to go. That's a long way. Moreno's not totally out of this game yet. In fact, not nearly out of this game.
The disadvantage Moreno's got, he's got more laps on his tires. The heat of the afternoon, this track becomes very, very slippery in the later stages of the race.
Gary Gerald?
Well, remember in the past, usually on a timed pit stop, a crew member on the near side of the wall would use a stick to tap on the shoulder or the hip of the fueler when it was time to pull. The Penske team, as we showed you in our pre-race show at Detroit a week ago, has incorporated these LED lights. JT Horn is the fueler for Helio Castro Neves. When they have hit a little button, when they know they've got the prescribed amount of fuel on, there'll be a flash of red here. He'll know to disengage and pull back. We're expecting to see Castro Neves in about 4 laps here on pit road for that splash and go. And we're all wondering how much it's going to cost him in terms of track position.
Hey, thanks, Gary. I love that techie stuff.
I just think you'd want to wear safety glasses if you had those things so close to your eyes.
And we've gone from that famous stick now down to LEDs.
Stick with a light, basically.
No need for Helio to hold off DeFerrin, but same token, there's really no need for DeFerrin to try to get past him. He knows his teammates headed for the pit shortly. Moreno now about 1.5 seconds back.
And you'd wonder right now if they'd ask Helio just to move over, if he's got to come into the pits anyway. And you might be slowing your teammate down. Would you just breathe the throttle a little bit and let him through so he can get some distance on Roberto Moreno?
Okay, 3 more laps. 3 more laps. It's okay to let him go if you need to.
In fact, that might be a pretty good strategy, wouldn't it be? Let DeFerrin get around there. Well, Moreno is right there.
Tim Cindric talking to Helio Castro Neves, suggesting that very strategy. Little subtle hints there. Your teammates racing for Moreno, which will be for the win, if you know what I mean.
You're looking down from our Honda Helicam, which gives us some great coverage from above the track. Wonderful perspective of the intervals. 103 complete. Going through here last time, wasn't sure. I thought I saw a puff of something at the back of Moreno's car. It didn't repeat itself.
Well, the bumps down in turn 12 sometimes, depending if the driver alters his line just a little bit, will bottom the back of the car in particular. And you'll see some dust coming off the skid plates at the back of the car.
DeFerrin looks, decides no. Moreno is right there.
And you could see Gilles that time making his own suggestion to Helio that maybe he should let him by. Because now look what's happened. Moreno's right on the back of DeFerrin. Castro Neves is going to come in the next couple of laps. And the race for the lead is right there between DeFerrin and Moreno.
And And both of them are going to have to deal with some slower cars ahead of them, probably in the last 3 laps of the run.
We should be seeing Castroneves duck in here.
I looked again, still no repeat of that display. There goes Castroneves. And so DeFerrin will take over the lead. Gary Gerald.
Well, we told you about the LEDs, but the backup stick is there just in case.
All the way down here, it's going to be really fast.
Pat Haza, the vent man. JT Horn is the fueler. You heard Tim Sindrick. Going to be very fast. Here he is. Oh, man. 3.5 seconds gone.
LEDs notwithstanding, I saw the stick.
Michael Zamata right behind you.
So DeFerrin picked up the lead. Moreno is right behind him. Third place is now Fittipaldi, but he's 10 seconds back from the leader with Castroneves now going to be coming out to try and work on Fittipaldi. So the stop should now be complete for everyone. The battle will be between Gil DeFerrin and Roberto Moreno. 105 complete. No pressure on the Penske team when they had to make that last stop. We'll be back with a finish after this.
Look at this. Over 1 million stomachs have gotten tighter with 8-minute abs. And to celebrate our success, we created 8-minute 2000 total body workout. But first, look at these results.
I went from this flabby spare tire to a washboard stomach. Thanks, 8-minute abs.
We've combined 8-minute abs, legs, arms, and 8-minute buns in a super intense 8-minute workout for only $19.95.
I used to hide my backside, but look, now I have a shape to show off thanks to 8-minute buns.
It takes only 8 minutes, and my arms never looked better.
The secret to our 8-minute success is using the muscles in a specific sequence to maximize effectiveness. It gets the job done in only 8 minutes. With Total Body Workout, you flatten those abs, shape your buns, tone your arms and legs. Call now for the 8-minute 2000 Total Body Workout, and we'll include a free $5 rebate. That's right, you get 8-minute abs, buns, arms, and legs for just $14.95 with rebate. Our guarantee, if you don't lose at least 3 inches or drop 2 dress sizes, we'll send you a prompt refund. To order, call 1-800-242-4200.
This week, the LPGA Tour rolls into Atlantic City, where the stakes are always high, but the low score wins the trophy. The ShopRite LPGA Classic begins Friday at 2 on ESPN2.
Welcome back to the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200 in the closing laps now. 107 complete. DeFerrin the leader. Moreno trying to catch him. DeFerrin knows he's there and trying to pull away. But they're going to have Patrick Carpentier just ahead of them. Carpentier's good. He'll know that they're there. And no doubt let both of them by already. They're given the advisory flags at the corner stations. Then just ahead, past Carpentier, would be Franchitti. Back a little further, Elio Castroneves, Scott Andretti, DeMott, and Breck all battling together.
You see Kenny Breck side to side trying to get DeMott distracted coming into turn 10. Look at Kenny Breck now. The shell car.
Moreno is not challenging DeFerrin yet.
Keep in mind in this battle, Castroneves double running his set of tires. Michael Andretti double running his set of tires. Oh! It's like Garcia. Hey, pal, we're coming through.
Luis Garcia Jr. Tap puff of smoke there. You still got some fast guys. Here comes DeMott. He's around. Watch out for Kenny Breck. Now they're all clear.
DeMott, though, on a fresh set of tires. And we don't know about Kenny Breck, but we'll find that out.
Moreno now closing in once again. Patrick Carpentier, the car just ahead. Tagliani, the one behind. There's the battle for the lead. 109 complete. 3 to go. Thus far this year, 7 different winners in 7 different races. DeFerrin would be a repeat. Moreno might not be. I think I saw the smoke at the back of Moreno's car again. always as he gets out of it coming down that short straight.
Position 7. 2 to go.
Not position on the track. Position on the fuel gauge, right?
Yeah, position on the fuel. We saw DeFerrin just lock it up there, trying to avoid Carpentier.
Pat Patrick, the owner of Moreno's car.
Keep in mind here. A little commentary on driving styles there. Keep in mind, DeFerrin on fresh tires. He's got fuel. They've cranked up the fuel now. Moreno still having to be careful with fuel and tires, driving a great race, matching pace with DeFerrin. DeFerrin's frustration, you heard it a little bit there over the radio with Carpentier. There he gets by. Now Moreno's got to get it done as well, coming down into turn 10. He can't let Gilles slip by.
There's that spray again. Moreno has to get around Carpentier. DeFerrin's now pulling away. This is the wrong time to have this happen. Moreno's desperately got to move to the inside. That spray is still there.
Yeah, and that's not a bottoming problem. That's definitely some sort of mechanical problem on the overrun when he lifts off the throttle.
1 lap to go. Moreno is caught. He is caught behind Carpentier. Carpentier smokes a tire going into the corner.
And how frustrating. Carpentier's a lap down. He's out of this battle. There are going to be some words here after the race.
There's already been some words because these two guys are pitted next to each other.
Patrick just needs to get out of the way, but I'm afraid it's too late for Roberto Moreno.
Can't possibly matter now. Roberto Moreno had his shot. He couldn't get it done. He tried to do it. When DeFerrin came out of the pits, he couldn't do it there. He closed. Then they got caught up in traffic. This is the final lap. Gilles DeFerrin scored the 100th for Penske. This will be the 102nd for Gilles. His 5th career win in a very clean race at Portland International. The twin checkered flag.
Number 2, good job.
And Gilles DeFerrin takes the win. Moreno comes across in second. Andretti, Damata, and Brett may be close coming to the line. 3rd time in his career that Moreno has finished second. Yeah, there they are. This is a battle for 5th. See where this baby goes.
Castroneves
slowing down. Castroneves slows down. Wow. On the pit straight on the final lap. Gary Gerald.
And he comes to a stop. Roger, I don't know. You're keeping track of Gilles. Did Elio run out of fuel, do you think?
I guess he did, but he came by the line, which just a great race for both guys. We decided to conserve our fuel at the beginning, but then we saw we were going nowhere, so we came in, short-stopped it, and were able to turn it up and go, and it gave us the margin we needed. But then at the end there, I was a little disappointed with the cars a lap down, but again, that's racing. Gilles was a little concerned.
3 wins in the last 4. This is like the old days with Team Penske. How satisfied must you feel?
Well, it's the people. I said it before. It was our sponsors and the team and everyone that supported us over the last 3 or 4 years. This is just a great day. Hope we got more of this. This gives Gilles a real good chance in the points because Tracy fell out. So, again, we got to work on next week.
Congratulations.
He may have crossed the line, but slowing down cost him. Castroneves finished 7th. DeFerrin, Moreno, Fittipaldi, the top 3, and it's the first time ever that Brazilians have swept the podium in the entire history of kart. We'll be back.
Combat Rangers. They're rough, they're tough, they're battle-tested. They're lean, mean fighting machines. When there's a battle to be won, Combat Rangers get the job done. Making backyards safe for democracy.
Now, tell me why they're wearing dresses.
The commander uniforms didn't arrive from China.
That's because you picked the wrong shipping company.
Next time, use the only U.S. express shipper with direct routes from China. FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Matching Night Vision Tiara sold separately.
For years, Honda engineers have developed the ultimate in racing technology. Innovations that have brought the manufacturers championships, the respect of the entire racing world, and of course, groupies.
This Wednesday, the road trip checks into Cincinnati for an NL Central slugfest. Mark McGuire looks to go deep as he charges the Cards against powerful Ken Griffey Jr. and the Reds. Then it slams into Detroit. Derek Jeter is swinging a hot bat, and he leads the Yankees against Juan Gonzalez and the Tigers. The ultimate road trip rolls on with 2 big games. Cardinals Reds at 7 on ESPN. Yankees Tigers at 7 on ESPN2. Wednesday.
Coverage of the Freightliner G.I. Joe's 200 has been brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series. You watched DeFerrin and Moreno battle. The margin of victory at 2.6 seconds. It looked like Moreno was cooking the engine pretty good as he came around on the final lap. Look at third, Christian Fittipaldi. He was as far back as 19th early in the race. Castroneves picks up the extra point for both the pole position and for the most laps led. There are the unofficial results. The winner, Gil DeFerrin. Second time this year, Gary.
It's becoming a habit. Here's our first 2-time winner, and this pesky team is on a roll. What was your biggest concern today? Because the fuel strategies, for a while, we thought maybe it was split between you and your teammate. Was it?
Well, I tell you, Roger called a fantastic race. To be honest, I mean, the beginning of the race, I had quite a bit of oversteer in the car, so I kind of took it easy, trying to save fuel on the tires. Then he made a change in the first stop. The car became better. And then on the second stop, the car was just fantastic. And, you know, when Roger told me to go to a mixture that I won't tell which one it is, I knew what I had to do. So from there on, it was, you know, fast seems to be the word, doesn't it? I mean, I had put my head down, just went as fast as I could. And I tell you, I couldn't be happy.
Tell me about those last laps with the traffic, because you were very unhappy. What was the big concern?
That was totally unprofessional. I mean, I was fighting for the race with Moreno, you know, and if people were about to be lapped with 5 laps to go, really, they have nowhere to go but get in the way. So, but
did you have a close call?
Yeah, I had one close call, like 2 laps to go into the first corner here. I thought he was letting me by, but I guess he wasn't.
Big help in the championship points now. That's probably the biggest reason for the smile. And look at the hardware that's coming in here as well. Being delivered, complete with roses in the Rose Festival. First place driver, yeah, podium 4 out of the last 5 years at Portland. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's fantastic.
Great job. Jan?
And Roberto Moreno is still in his car, not because he wants to, but because the steering wheel here will not come off. They've had 3 or 4 crew members yanking on this thing, beating on it. And Moreno, it looks like you might be driving this car home, but not bad for a day's run, second spot.
No problem. The season here is like my home. It's fantastic. The Vision guys did a great job again. Good fuel consumption, took us to the podium. I will stay here as long as it's necessary. I just grabbed so hard to the steering wheel, it doesn't want to come out anymore.
I've got to give you the good news that you are now the championship point leader, and that's got to just give you great satisfaction.
It's fantastic, and all thanks to the Vision crew, Pat Patrick, Jim McGee, Ed Nachman, and John Ward. Even Adrian has helped a lot. We are growing as a team because of good relationship between all of us, and we intend to keep doing that way. And thank you very much for everybody that supported me to get to this position.
Well, congratulations, and he'll have plenty of time in this car to think about it. They're trying to physically unscrew the steering wheel to get him out. Again, even though he's a small guy, you cannot get your legs out until that steering wheel comes off.
Yeah, all those high-priced and skilled people he mentioned, you can't get him out of the car. Thereafter, the 8 of 20 races, this is the way the points look.
Roberto Moreno from super sub to points leader. What a great story. Fantastic. And Gil DeFerrin, different team, same strategy, same result, a win at Portland.
They're going to toss him in the air. Roberto Moreno finishes second behind DeFerrin. We'll be back.
Wagner brakes make any car feel high performance.
Yep, they're Wagner brakes.
So choose Wagner, from the world's leader in brake pads.
From the quarter mile at St. Louis to the third turn at Talladega to the pits of Laguna Seca. Wherever innovation Competition is the margin between win and lose. The pros reach for the same tools you do. Craftsman, the official tools of CART, NHRA, and NASCAR.
Blanchard's car is handling great as he takes the lead. Incredible.
Moog chassis parts make any car feel high performance. So choose the chassis parts that drive NASCAR champions to victory. Moog, now with M2 technology.
Back at Portland International Raceway, the race has won a good one. Gil DeFerrin has taken the lead. We go to Gary.
Helio Castroneves has had some time to try to compose his thoughts. How disappointing is this to have that run out of fuel and lose those precious spots right at the end?
Oh, Gary, it's really bad, you know. Hold on.
He's having a hard time trying to compose himself. The disappointment in Paul just oozing out of every pore of his body, and there's no doubt about that. He drove his heart out. What a gallant effort to try to make it 2 in a row. We'll let him try to compose himself here, and we'll check in with Jan.
Yes, and we'll check in with Christian Fittipaldi. I know you had that lockup early in the race, got some flat-spotted tires. Was that a big detriment for you?
Well, I guess it was. Anyone that watched the race saw that I was falling like from 1 to 2 seconds in the beginning of the race. I had to pit early because I flat-spotted both of my tires. I wanted to get by Moreno to follow both Penske's because I thought that the Penske's were going to be very strong in the race, and I wanted to make sure that I would go into the first turn right behind him. And unfortunately, I tried a little bit too hard. I braked too late. I locked up. It was entirely my mistake, and maybe the mistake in the very beginning cost me the race today.
Of course, the good news is he is on the podium, guys.
And a good run gets him up to third position. Our final Toyota Spotlight looks at the race that we have just won. Now, just 1 week, we're going to be in Cleveland at the Burke Lakefront Airport for the Marconi Grand Prix of Cleveland. Join us there. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com. We'll see you 1 week in Cleveland. It rocks.
Gentlemen, start.